Dave, thanks for talking to us as you have a week of training and working with the players out on the training ground. Before we get into all that, I just want to talk a little bit about, I know referees have been in the news yesterday for the wrong reason, and we don't want to be seeing that. But I just want to talk a little bit about the last couple of games that you've been involved in when we've seen those horrendous tackles. One that we know what he did to Ollie Finney, and one that could have been another one joining in Luke Murphy. Do you think it's time now that referees are asked to come out and explain and talk to the people, and people can get to understand them more, or not?
I don't think so. I think you can open up a can of worms. It's a tough job. I think you've got to be very careful if you go down that road. I certainly think when they go to the monitor in VAR, they should be mic'd up, and you should be heard what Stockley Park is saying to the referees, albeit that's only in the Premier League. But there's got to, there's one referee in Stockley Park speaking to another referee at pitch side. Then that'd make good TV. It would justify decisions there and then, and you could see why the decisions were made. And so then you don't have to stand in front of a camera, or there's no clamour to stand in front of a camera. So I think that's a way to alleviate potential problems regarding VAR decisions in the Premier League, because it happens in rugby. It's happened in rugby for a long time. It even happens in cricket, where the fourth umpire, TV director to fourth umpire to TV director, can you show me possible run out? They're telling them justification, it's gone past the bat, white line, and cricket's very binary at times. Has he hit it or has he not hit it, kind of thing. So, but they're talking you through the process. There's no reason why referees can't do that while they're stood at the monitor and having that conversation. So that's the first thing. The second thing, in terms of the referees in the EFL, you've got one problem. They're not professional. They're not professional. The tackle at the weekend was horrific. It could have quite easily broken it. It's only because he's 32 and he gets out of the way of it. Ollie Finney, who's 21, breaks his leg. And they'll justify it by going, I didn't break his leg, because he got out of the bloody way. That's why. Now, that cannot be condoned. However, wherever we've still got referees that are plumbers and architects and teachers, you're going to get decisions made by plumbers, architects and teachers dressed as a referee. And that's the issue. So, you can ask me questions about referees. It's a tough job. It's a tough job. But until they become professional and understand the game better, because at the minute we've got, it might sound harsh, we've got a professional sport run by amateurs. And that's not opinion, that's actually fact. And that's not going to change until either the FA pay for them to become professionals, the clubs pay for them to become professionals, or the leagues pay for them to become professionals. It's as simple as that. And I've no idea what the numbers are. I've no idea what a referee earns. I've no idea how many there are of them, but I'm pretty certain it'll be a big number. Now, until that happens, we'll either have broken legs or contentious decisions, or both. And that's the issue here. We can talk about isolated incidents as much as we want, whether it be a Ollie Finney broken leg, a possible broken leg for Luke Murphy, or a Thomas Souček elbow. It doesn't make any difference. It does need to get better, without a shadow of a doubt. People lose jobs off the back of it. People lose livelihoods off the back of it. Which sounds dramatic. Oh, no, it's not down to one referee's decision. It can be. It can be. And nobody will tell me, when they've sat in the chair that I sit in, nobody can tell me any different either.
Okay, thanks for talking about that. Let's move on then and look at your team. It's a full week out on the training ground. Hasn't happened too often, has it? And I'm pretty sure you'll be pleased to have that.
Yeah. We've had a bit of a relaxed day yesterday, I have to say, but it's a proper working day today, which we haven't had for a while. We'll have another proper working day on Thursday, and we've got a couple next week as well. So that's, it's good to get some work into them. Remind them of what they have to do and what they don't have to do, and how we can improve, because it's needed. it's needed. So, we're certainly not, throwing the baby out with the bathwater or anything like that, but we've got to make sure that we are giving them some reminders of what we're after. Like I said, I thought for the first 30 minutes we were by far the better team, but because we didn't score, it's only 2 goals in 5 minutes and we never recovered from Saturday. So we've got to make sure we're better than that, and we make better decisions, because that's ultimately what wins your games of football. So we've got some work to do.
5 new players came in as well. How much will they benefit? What do you expect them to gain from this week out with the boys and the coaching staff?
Yeah, like I say, that's another part of the reason, another reason to do what we're doing this week and next week. They've got to become quickly ingrained into what we do and how we do it. And I'd say they're all taking on board what we're asking of them individually. We've got to make sure that they become part of the collective as well, and that doesn't just happen overnight by a long stretch. It takes a long time, believe it or not. So we've got to make sure that we play to each individual's strengths and maximise what they're doing for the team, and that'll come out hopefully this week and next week.
Goals have come a little bit harder to come by in the last few weeks, Dave, which is probably for the first time this season. It's just finding it a little bit tougher. Any particular reason do you think why that is?
Well, I was going to say, because we come up against teams that have got multi-million pound budgets, but that had just seemed maybe a bit I don't know, petty from my point of view. Well, they're not, but we've had Peterborough, we've got Portsmouth, Sunderland, Accrington who were in the playoffs, Doncaster, Lincoln, Hull. All these teams are, with the exception of Accrington, I'm not being disrespectful, but they're absolutely flying. They're all big teams with huge budgets. So, we've got to make sure that we put a bit of sense of perspective and a bit of sense of reality onto it. But then we also know that we can perform and play against these teams, and that's what we've got to do. So, we went early on in the season, and I think we only scored 1 or 2 goals in the first 5 or 6 games or something like that, and we were finding his feet, and we did, and we went on, we did well, and etc. And we've got to make sure we do the same again. We've got to make sure that we don't become either predictable, stale, any of them words. Stale's not the right word, but I don't know, easy to play against, whatever. But that means you've got to become better at what you do. That's all that is, and that's what this week's about. Becoming better at what we do, and that means you've got to work it in and become better. So, there's a few things that we've highlighted, and when you're laying in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're thinking about how we can score more goals, that's the kind of thing that goes through my head. So that's the kind of thing that we'll be working on this week.
Well, one player that you'll hope can add that, and he's certainly shown that, is Charlie Kirk. He's had a bit of a breather for the last couple of games. He's been on the substitutes bench. You're elected not to use him at the weekend, but is he okay, and it would have benefited from that breather?
Yeah, I think so. We'll see how he is this week. I say we've had 3 fairly long-term hamstring injuries this year, and we don't want another. So we're making sure that Charlie is 100% right before he even steps foot on a football pitch. And that's still the case today.
Now, Portsmouth, as you mentioned, are your next opponents. You need to turn around one of your worst performances, would you say, when you went down there? Not easy, as you've quite rightly pointed out, because they're a massive club with a massive budget, but you'll want a better performance than you did at Fratton Park.
Yeah, I think goals change games, as we saw on Saturday, and we gave them the first 2 goals. You're going 2-0 down, and then they score, a goal straight after half time, and it's game over before we even have a chance to respond, if you like. So we know that if we make mistakes, we're going to be in trouble. And that's the same in any game. It's certainly with a team such as Portsmouth, with their good players, their stars. So we've got to make sure that we are mistake-free. and take the game to them. I think before the goals, we gave as good as we got, and we looked threatening. But then the game didn't materialise like that because we made mistakes. And if you make mistakes, then you'll get punished against a team like Portsmouth. So, yeah, we've got to improve. But it's one that we're looking forward to, as opposed to be apprehensive about.
Yeah, it's again, isn't it, one of those fixtures that you worked hard for last season to come up against. I know you've mentioned a group of fixtures there, but it is really top-class League One football that you're playing at the moment.
Yeah, the only downside is that fans aren't here, because Portsmouth would bring 2,000 and it'd be a good atmosphere, and that's what you'd want. But unfortunately, we're still in times where you can't have that, so we'll have to try and do the business without the fans in. So we're looking forward to it. You know, playing against teams such as this standard and calibre and historic nature, then, you know, we've got to make sure that, like I say, we're mistake free and we give as good as we get. Because if you do, then you've got a chance. That's why we're in League One. We worked, like I say, we worked hard to get here, and we want to give a good account of ourselves in every game, and that's no different to Saturday.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks for talking to us.